Hello everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Fable-top podcast. My name's Bonehead.
And my name's Diddy.
I know we promised you a guest for this episode, another one. Some scheduling issues have arose, some conflictions in our date planning. So next episode is when you're going to be seeing our guest Varud appear. As for now, because we had Zen last episode, and we followed with his topic, today we are going to follow on with Diddy's topic of the day, which is...
gaming sets.
Gaming sets. Admittedly, I know little to nothing about them, except occasionally you're allowed to pick one creating a character.
Yeah, that's the only experience I've had with gaming sets, is just deciding which one to have when creating a character. So, the Player's Handbook describes gaming sets. This item encompasses a wide range of game pieces, including dice and decks of cards for games such as Three Dragon Ante. A few common examples appear on the tools table, but other kinds of gaming sets exist. If you are proficient with a gaming set, you can add your proficiency bonus to ability checks you make to play a game with that set. Each type of gaming set requires a separate proficiency.
So, I mean, one question, because we did kind of have like a brief discussion a bit before this, or at least you brought up the fact that you wanted to talk about this. One thing I've never understood with gaming sets, and that explanation kind of explains a little bit to me. So there are no actual rules for the game in the handbook, it's just decided by a series of roles, effectively.
Well, the only thing I could find was in Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Right.
In a section called Gambling.
Okay.
And I have completely lost the page.
As is par for the course so far with this podcast.
Search, come on, this on page 130. So, Xanathar's Guide to Everything says, games of chance... This is about gambling.
Right.
Games of chance are a way to make a fortune, and perhaps a better way to lose one. The resources you need for this activity require one work week of effort, plus a stake of at least 10 gold pieces, to a maximum of 1,000 gold pieces, or more if you see fit. The character must make a series of checks with a DC determined at random based on the quality of the competition that the character runs into.
Okay.
Part of the risk of gambling is that one never knows who one might end up sitting across the table.
So that's kind of interesting. I think the main takeaway from that I got was I didn't realise at the very least they'd go into the fact that you would have like essentially different levels of competition. So you'd have like your beginner, amateur, intermediate, and professional play. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, like for example, if you want to do some gambling just in a roadside tavern, say, then like the dice check would be fairly low, I would assume. If you're going specifically to a very well-renowned casino in a city, then you're going to have big league players at the tables, so the dice check would be higher.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. I suppose it does. It's kind of like real life. Like, if you go around a friend's house to play, you might not play for keeps, but then you might go to, like, an unofficial tournament of some kind for your game of choice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on.
In the Player's Handbook, in the list of tools, there are 4 gaming sets. It is dice, dragon chess, playing cards, and a 3 Dragon Ante set.
Right.
See, it says that you would use a deck of cards for games such as 3 Dragon Ante. But 3 Dragon Ante and a set of cards are different things in the tools list.
I suppose it might be like specialised cards. It's kind of like, I suppose, like solitaire against a game of Rummy, where in Rummy you would combine effectively 2 decks of cards.
That's a good point, because if 3 Dragon Ante was like poker, say, Like it could come with a bunch of chips and some other stuff as well.
I suppose, and like the question I was going to ask previously was, in the brief bit of research you did on this, did you come across like any unofficial rule sets online if players wanted to go like deeper into it?
The only thing I could find was just the gambling section from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, where the character makes 3 checks: Wisdom Insight, Charisma Deception, and Charisma Intimidation. If the character has proficiency with an appropriate gaming set, that tool proficiency can replace the relevant skill in any of the checks. And then it has a table of how many successes you get and the value of the money that you receive. But that's all I could really find.
I mean, do you think it could be one of those moments where it's like left to the DM's discretion, or?
I guess, yeah, because I did a bit of thinking, and for example, if you were playing chess, you're not necessarily going to be engaging in deception or intimidation.
No, because you can't bluff chess, as far as I'm aware.
You can't bluff chess. Every like that's the whole point. Everything that it's not like poker where you're hiding something. Everything you are doing is on the board that everyone can see.
I suppose the checks would then probably be based around like intelligence and wisdom, or more along the lines of wisdom. So like perception checks and then insight checks to see if you can guess what your opponent would be doing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. With chess, you would make an intelligence check because you would be like remembering something, remembering a game you had where like this kind of situation came up, and so you need to do this not to lose.
Yeah.
In three dragon ante, which I'm assuming is poker, you would be using charisma deception, yeah, and perhaps perception as well, to kind of see if you can find tells in the other player.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something along the lines of maybe like another insight check then, because obviously in the real world, this could probably apply to people like bards and rogues. They might be proficient gamblers and can like count cards and whatnot, so they'd have like a good insight into like what hands to play, when to fold. Yeah,
because also the one problem I've run into with that system is the dice set. Because unlike Fallout, there's no luck in D&D.
No. Admittedly, I think you could argue that with dice rolls. Like, dice rolls are... I mean, I suppose you could argue that they're like a statistical probability, but then it's also a case of luck if you're going to get the good rolls or not.
That has just, like, made me think, how could you be proficient in a game that is just all about luck? Ooh, you could use sleight of hand.
Yeah, so like in the cartoons when they're hiding cards up their sleeves or whatnot.
Yeah.
Or you could use sleight of hand in a game of dice, so like you have like these exact movements of your hands that let the dice land exactly how you want in some nonsensical bullshit.
There's a bit in Futurama, it's on the Titanic episode, I think, where Bender's at the table playing craps. And obviously he's holding the dice, he's looking at it, and it's like calculating probability. It comes up, sure thing, and then he throws them. It comes up with snake eyes, and he says, "No, you gotta give me a do-over. My cheating unit malfunctioned. I'm sorry, sir, the house limit is 3 do-overs. Next shooter."
It's like number 2 in Austin Powers with his eye patch that lets him see through the card. I see you. I'm gonna stop. But because I am not a prideful man, I'm going to leave that blunder in for the viewer's benefit and humour.
Yeah. Because I have just seen that a playing card set is only 5 silver pieces, and a 3 dragon ante set is 1 gold piece. So it's 50 pence to £1.
I mean, I thought that's just crossed my mind as well, is like they do kind of have like a utility outside of just gambling. The spell Augury requires something like playing cards or dice or sticks for the effect to work, because it's essentially reading chicken bones to...
Yeah.
So
I never thought of that.
Yeah, so I suppose, like my cleric, for example, he has Augury, and I bought a set of playing cards. I didn't ever expect to need the playing cards, because I didn't know Augury was a spell until I had received it. So it was kind of like this, this was just like a lucky coincidence, really. So I suppose they, like, at the very least, off the top of my head, playing cards and dice do have a utility outside of just making money.
Yeah.
Unless you use the Augury spell to predict if you're going to get money.
But then don't you need to use some cards for the Augury spell to...
I don't think they get consumed. I think
okay.
I think it is. It's literally just like in Pirates of the Caribbean with, like, what's her face, the sea goddess?
Teodama.
Yeah, like Calypso.
Yeah.
When she, like, throws the chicken bones on the table. I suppose it's more like that than you, like, burn a card and then get your answer.
I suppose. Yeah, that's also a thing. I always assumed, kind of, with components for spells, like, they just get used up.
I think... I mean, I've had this discussion with DMs before and other players. Specifically before making an Arcane Trickster Rogue and a Cleric. But there does seem to be like a general consensus for the most part that unless the spell specifically says is consumed upon use, you can continuously reuse. So like, the first time I cast Find Familiar to get my Familiar Croft, that would require incense and charcoal. And those components would get used up, but the brass brazier I had to use to burn it in, that's not going to melt away, is it?
Yeah, that's a good point. So back to the gaming sets.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I suppose it's something they probably could expand upon in like a future source book or something. I mean, from what you said, Xanathar's already kind of opened that door a bit. But I'm fairly sure if you looked hard enough that you could probably find some like unofficial rule sets online, just to add a little bit more roleplay rather than just roll a dice and see who gets a higher number. Oh, you perform like an insane Russian Queen's Gambit in a game of Dragon Chess, and it's like
yeah.
Especially at the start of a game of chess where you roll an actual 20, you put a pawn forward and go checkmate.
That's the thing. I've always kind of when I've had people use gaming sets in my games, I've always had them make like it's a best of 3.
Yeah.
And you just roll your you just roll your dice, and then I assume you would have a proficiency in your gaming set if you've got it. So you would add your proficiency bonus, and then whoever gets the best out of 3 wins.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I've only, like, while DMing myself, I've only ever come across one situation where I've had to ask for rolls, and that was actually a game between Horatio and Turnip when they first interacted, and I believe you lost money on that.
I did. I have a proficiency in Dragon Chess. I don't think Turnip does, but I lost 10 gold pieces.
But, I mean, the only other time I've actually seen gaming sets used is with Zen's other character, Turnip. Not Turnip, sorry. In our Friday game, he plays a paladin called Thurward. And I think he actually explained this somewhat in the last episode. Thurward functions off of what is essentially like 3 personalities. So he's got like the devil on his shoulder, he's got an angel on his shoulder, and then they smush together and make like the whole package. But basically what he does is he'll set up a game of chess, like on long rests, and then he'll have a game between his 2 personalities. So like, we're sitting around a fireside, we'll see like this giant birdman set up a game of chess and then just walk to one side of the board again and again and again, changing pieces. It's
like that Pixar short.
I was just about to say, just like Jerry's game at the end of Bug's Life, yeah. I don't know why. I have like, and I know this is another side tangent, but I had a friend in school who's, I won't say his name, but he'd always pull this face whenever someone did or said something stupid. It'd always be like this kind of kind of face.
Like a proper fucking sitcom thing. It's like, what are you like?
And I remember asking him one day, I was like, what is that? And all he would ever say is, Jerry's Game. And I'm like, what the fuck is Jerry's Game? That's the only ever, like, time he would explain what it is. And then just out of luck, one day, I was watching, like, Bug's Life after school. And I was distracted with saying, can let the credits run through, then it gets to Jerry's Game. And it's one of those moments where I see this and, like, everything connects. And it's just like a kind of moment.
That's what that was.
Oh, mate, I never felt more involved when I went into school the next day. He said something stupid, and then I just go, Jerry's Game. Oh, man. I suppose... this is going to seem like really off the cuff as well, but I don't know if you was aware, but they are currently filming a Dungeons and Dragons movie down in Newcastle.
Yes.
Do you think they're going to have like a scene dedicated to someone playing something like Three Dragon Ante?
I don't know. All I know is it's going to be terrible, just like every other Dungeons and Dragons film that came before it.
I don't know. I've got like a careful optimism put in place for this, because the way I see it, it cannot get much worse than the actual Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out in the late 80s, and that one rip-off movie called Monsters and Mazes that had Tom Hanks in it. Yes. I don't think it's going to ever get worse than that. So
that wasn't a rip-off movie. That was like a PSA, propaganda. It was just propaganda saying, "Oh, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you'll go mad and commit suicide."
I think they missed the point, because from what I saw, it was less Dungeons and Dragons and more just LARPing. So really, the message there was like, LARPing will make you kill yourself.
Yes, it will. Do not do LARPing.
You see some kid like jump off a building while throwing cardboard cutouts of lightning, just going lightning bolt, feather fall, squish. Oh, that got dark. But alright, so here's a question for you then, going back to like gaming sets proper. Do you think there are any modifications or improvements they can make to what is in the book now to, one, make them more interesting to kind of explore, and to make them more authentic in terms of like the experience you'd have with them?
I guess like if they actually printed a set of rules for each, not like a full like book or just about gaming sets, but just like a little bit underneath gaming sets where it talks about, okay, this is how you play with the dice, this is how you play dragon chess, this is how you play with the cards, and these are the specific dice checks you need to make for this. It would just make things a lot easier, rather than DMs just having to think on their feet and come up with really bad suggestions like, oh, let's just make it a roll, let's just make it best of 3, roll a d20, if you've got proficiency in it, add that, there you go, done. Because that kind of breaks the immersion as well a little bit. If it's specifically, you're playing dragon chess, okay, you need to roll, what's his like intelligence modifier? Oh, it's a 15, so you've got to roll a higher than a 15 on this roll, and then he's got to roll higher than that, and this and that and this and that, and then maybe goes back and forth to then come up with a conclusion. If they set out a proper set of rules, I think that would make it just a lot better.
See, like, I think the thought I just had in my mind right now, and something I might actually put in place the next time Horatio and Turnip have a game, is they're like, I challenge you to a game of Dragon Chess, and I'm like, right, load up chess.com. And just like,
Jesus. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You can't just like stop a game of D&D to play chess.
I mean, they don't even have to go as far as like making a whole new source book, because, and you can correct me on this because I know you've ran the Lost Mines of Phandelver, but the copy of it I have came in the starter set, and it's like the little paperback like magazine kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could just do one of those where they have like maybe 4 or 5 different games, and then they just explain the rule sets and like how DMs go about like.
Yeah, that would be good. Going back to what you were saying about like stopping D&D to play a whole game of chess. Like if I created a character that was highly intelligent, and that had Dragon Chess as their gaming set, and that was their proficiency as well. But I was utter shit at playing chess, and you couldn't do that.
No, that's true. I suppose, yeah, if you were someone who had like high intelligence and then like a huge proficiency bonus, I don't know, like a +5, and then you load up a game of Dragon Chess with someone, and it turns out there's some kind of like grandmaster chess player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like for example, if Diego was playing against Varud, who is a dwarf, wild man, barbarian who has never seen a game of chess before in his life, what if like Varud's player is a chess grandmaster and you're not?
I do believe we actually got permission from a few of the players that we can just use their real names.
Oh, okay.
I do believe, at the very least, and I'm going to say them now, and I'll ask them afterwards, if not I'll bleep them, but I do believe Gareth and Mark did give us permission to refer to them as such.
So, Gareth plays Enril, and Mark plays Varud.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have no doubt, at least if the roles were on my side, that Diego probably would beat Varud in a game of, like, D&D chess. But I think if me and Mark got into a real game on chess.com, he would handedly kick my ass.
Yeah.
Like, I can play, like, a basic game of chess. It would be, like, the cringiest thing ever. Yeah. I suppose, yeah, I would like to retract my statement of thinking it would be funny to break immersion to pull up chess.com.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. You can't just stop a game of D&D to play some poker. You can't. I say you can't stop D&D just to play a game of dice. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've seen how long some chess games go. They go on for like upwards of an hour sometimes. Especially on the ones where you are allotted a specific amount of time to move, and every time you hit the clock, you get 5 seconds back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could run for a fucking age. Dice, I suppose, if you were playing a game of Yahtzee, that's like, what, a couple rolls? Don't know,
Yeah.
Never played Yahtzee. A deck of cards is very specific. Like, I'm sure in the book it doesn't outline if you can do something like Snap, Go Fish, Gin Rummy. 52 card pickup is very much a game they could probably play as well. So
I mean, useful for distracting guards, I suppose.
Oh, 100%. I think there's a spell as well, going back to like the utility outside of gambling.
52 card pickup. You just and 52 cards just shoot out of your hand, go all over the floor.
100%. But I can't remember the name of the spell off the top of my head. You might recognise it when I describe it, and then viewers might recognise it as Sam Riegel's character in Campaign 2. Basically, they throw buttons in the air, and I think it's called like Hypnotizing Pattern or something like that. You basically like throw something in the air, and it like makes like a small light show, which just like entrances and hypnotizes anyone who fails a wisdom save. Sorry.
Hypnotic Pattern.
That's the one, yeah. I think so, anyway.
You create a twisting pattern of colours that weaves through the air inside a 30-foot cube within range. The pattern appears for a moment there and vanishes. Each creature in the area who sees the pattern must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature becomes charmed for the duration.
See, I was under the assumption that you needed something to throw.
Components.
Ah.
A glowing stick of incense or a crystal vial filled with phosphorescent material.
Okay, so I was right about it needing components. I was just wrong about the components it needed.
It's not buttons.
Also, huge side tangent. I just realised, and I'm probably going to do this now, I just realised you could make Gambit from the X-Men in D&D.
Oh, God.
You give him the catapult spell and a deck of cards.
Oh, no. Catapult spell.
Oh, yeah, we've had some good times with that spell back in the early days.
Is it a spell or is it a cantrip? Because I'm worrying now.
I'm fairly sure it's a spell.
Okay, good.
I would Google this, but I'm just going to work off the assumption it's a spell. Because... Oh no, it might be a cantrip, because Landmorn used it a fair few times.
It's a first level spell, thank
Yeah.
God for that. Imagine if it was a cantrip, you could just have a machine gun. Just sit
Basically.
on a pile of pebbles and just start
chucking these things, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know why. That just crossed my mind, because like he throws cards and shit. I mean, you don't have like the kinetic energy and blast behind it, but you've still got like...
It doesn't matter. It's a set thing for catapult. It doesn't matter if you're firing diamonds or pieces of straw.
It's like the fucking junk jet from Fallout 3. You can slap a teddy bear in there and still do insane headshot damage.
Exactly. Oh, choose one object weighing from 1 to 5 pounds. I don't know. I don't know how much that is.
That's like, I know we're going on a bit of a side tangent here, and we can resume shortly, but I have another character I play, a monk who has Mage Hand, but one of the feats I took was called telekinetic. So my Mage Hand is basically invisible.
God's sake.
And the amount of times I have actively fucked with NPCs and the party, because I've never explained it to them that it is invisible. Like,
Right.
the DM will just be like, oh, they just see this fucking cup floating through the air, and then, like, it will smash someone on the head, and everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? Is it, like, ghosts and shit? And I'm just in the back rolling, like, fucking sleight of hand checks, so they don't see me, like, wiggling my fingers. That's what I love about this game. Like, it just affords so many possibilities.
Yeah.
There was also the penis monster I made using minor illusion back in Zen's campaign.
God.
He wasn't... Okay, so here's the thing I think got miscommunicated. He wasn't meant to say, you see... what was my character's name at the time? Hokkaido. I was calling him...
Terrence. No,
Terrence is
Terrence.
what I settled on, yeah. Yeah, he was like, oh, you see Terrence conjure... I'm like, no, I just wanted them to, like, just see this random penis monster, like, cross the field. And just, like... It was still funny, though, but... I suppose one thing, like, getting back on track, because we've only got a little bit left before we wrap, I suppose the last thing I could probably suggest, or not really suggest, because this is something I know for a fact has been done, but gambling sets could even just easily be integrated into, like, a plot line itself.
Yeah.
Like when we went to Lottie's Casino. Like, I'm sure if any of us were like, I'm going to hit the craps tables, you'd have been like, okay, start rolling.
There was a whole page of rules for how to run the how to run the slot machines and the everything, the roulette table and everything else, but none of you did.
No. But
yeah, that's the thing. You can incorporate new rules into campaigns. You don't need to create a whole new rule book specifically for them.
no, I suppose like the kind of point I was going for with that as well is like, I don't know, instead of getting into a combat encounter with someone, that like, I don't know, like say it was like a huge fight where it was going to take like maybe a half an hour. Maybe then you could implement some more in-depth rules into a gaming set. So then instead of a combat encounter, it's like trial by gambling. And then we could use like gambling chips to represent like hit points and stuff, and the moment you're out of them, you're done, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I mean, that's literally just like a surface level idea. Like you'd have to like build upon that, but that's not my forte. So
yeah, I think for now, a basic just set of rules would be if you're using dice, make it sleight of hand check. If you're using dragon chess, make it intelligence. If you're using playing cards / 3 dragon ante, it would be a perception / deception.
yeah, I mean, and that all makes perfect sense. I'm assuming it doesn't say that in the book itself.
Nope.
No. But yeah, I mean, I think it could be fair to say that at the moment, at the very least, gaming sets have like an untapped potential. And I'm sure there's big brains out there who have like opened the door to a world of that stuff, but
Yeah.
I think for the layman, until we get into like official rule books and stuff, We're just gonna have to rely on Reddit.
So that's the thing. It really feels like the gaming set you choose just doesn't matter. Like, I've always tried to pick, when I'm creating a character, if, for example, my human fighter noble Horatio, he carries dragon chess because it's more of an intelligent game. But Arden Brightwood, the half-orc fighter, he has dice, I'm pretty sure, which is obviously just a luck-based, lower-class kind of gambling / game.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, it could be a way to, like, complement and flavour your character a little bit more. Like you said, Dragon Chess is more intelligent-based, so something someone of noble birth would probably be getting into. And then, yeah, like, some guy who, like, is the kind of guy you'd expect to see in, like, tavern brawls and stuff like that would be playing dice in a back alley somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
But, well, I think that's us for now. Unless you have anything else you'd like to add on, or no? No worries. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for episodes 5 and 6, where our next guest on will be Mark, who plays Zenfire in our Thursday games. For now, I've been Bonehead.
And I've been Diddy.
And we will see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye-bye.